Hi, I am Miranda Soberstall, Curriculum Subject Specialist at the National Center for Educational Resource Development, NSERD. In this episode, I will be looking at designing lessons to include all learners. The Ministry of Education Sector Plan 2021-2022 speaks to, and I quote, providing opportunities for quality, equitable education and lifelong learning for all. And I really want to emphasize all here, because when we think about the teacher and we think about our learners, right away we should be thinking about including all our learners when we teach. So during that teaching and learning process, all our children should be catered for. Now, how do we do this? How do we go about catering for all of our learners? It takes us back immediately, or we should start thinking about the learner profile, the learning profile. And that learner profile, as was dealt with by my colleague, really addresses how and the importance of it. But apart from the learner profile, as teachers, we should have a good understanding of who our children are. And we can achieve that daily through conversation. And the conversations we have with our children, we should do that for at least 2 to 5 minutes every day. Because the more we get to know our learners, the easier it is for us to plan lessons that will include all of them. This can be done during registration. The first 15 minutes in the morning, when you meet your children, you give them the opportunity to speak. You ask questions and you have them provide you with answers. You really allow for them to express themselves. That in turn helps you, the teacher, to get to better know your learners. And as such, when you go to plan your lessons, you're able to look for or try to address the needs and the interests of your learners. If we truly want to include our learners, we must look at the needs and the interests of the learners, because they are the ones who will be learning. So this brings us to the idea of learning styles. And this has been touted for a while. Oh, this child has this learning style and that child has that learning style. But research has shown that learning style, when we think about children and learning styles, we find that if we try to address learning styles, there are lots of disadvantages. And so the recent literature shows that one should embrace a more universal approach to learning, or a more universal design for learning. And this is really it's really a design, and it's called the UDL, the Universal Design for Learning. And this design really caters for inclusivity. It caters for all those children in your class. The children who have got it, the children who are not yet, the children who are approaching. We are catering for all those children, because at the end of the child's stint at a school, at the primary level, that child should leave there meeting benchmarks. This principle of universal design of learning speaks more to multimodal approach to teaching and learning, and not learning styles. So the universal design of learning is based on 3 principles: the multiple ways of representing your information. It speaks to multiple means of action and expression, and multiple means of engaging your learners. And if I may expand on those 3 points just a little bit. When we speak of multiple means or multiple ways of representing the information, we are saying that at no point, because all our fingers are not the same length, then we cannot do just one thing and think to ourselves that it will meet all our learners. and do so effectively, right? Our children are different. As such, we have to represent our information in different ways so that my interests can be stimulated, so to speak. So let me give an example. If I were to look at plants, I can start with a famous poem that you all know. Deep in the heart of a seed, buried deep, so deep, there lies a tiny plant fast asleep. Wakes at the sunshine, and you know the rest of that. Now, I can start my lesson with that poem, and I can ask questions. That meets those children who are very good with listening and so on. But I can also follow that up in the development of my lesson with a video that shows how that seed germinates and grows into this plant. And so there already we're seeing multiple means of representing your information. I can also represent it using a chart, diagrams, and so on. When we speak of multiple means of action and expression, we're saying all children are not the same. They will not all be able to write all the information, or will they all be able to answer questions. But we are saying, or we do believe, that they should have the opportunity to express themselves in a way that best suits them. So they might feel better, it might be best for them to express themselves in terms of a drawing, in terms of an artistic piece. Okay, so they should be given that opportunity to express themselves. Some children are very good at speaking, but they're not so good with writing that information or recording it there with paper and pencil. But they're very good at articulating it verbally. So we need to give the children multiple ways, multiple means of expressing themselves. And in addition to that, they should have freedom of choice. They can choose. So today I prefer to color. I would like to color my seed, or I would like to color my plant, or I may cut and paste today. They should be given that opportunity. And the final point was multiple means of engagement. So how do we engage our learners? How do we engage? So we have to give them things that will stimulate, again, their interests. So I can engage with an experiment. I can engage them, take them out on a field trip. It speaks to the methodology that we use, or methodologies that we use to teach our learners. And we're saying that it should not be in this one fixed, oh, I come in today, I write the notes on the board, everybody copy the notes, and that's it. We have to move away from that. We have to move to the place where we see our children as individuals, and that their learning needs and interests must be stimulated. And so we engage them not just with information on the board, we engage them taking them outside, taking them on field trips, taking them to Farmer Brown so that they can see how chickens are reared, or all the animals that you can find on a farm, right? So there are multiple ways of engaging your learners. There should be no one way. And this in itself, if you think about the universal design of learning and the principles upon which it's based, it brings us to that term that we all know, differentiation. Now, differentiation is important, and I know that you would have realized that it goes hand in hand with the UDL, with the universal design of learning. Differentiation. So because all my fingers are not the same, I have to differentiate. I have to allow you to work at the level that you're at, but not leave you at that level, but to build on that. And as we build on that, you get to that stage, you get to the benchmark of what is expected. So if it's expected for you to be able to problem solve, but at this point you're unable to do that, I start with my drawings. I start with you expressing yourself in a way that you're comfortable with, and then we build on that as we go along. And as the teacher differentiates, in the classroom, we differentiate our instruction, we differentiate the activities that we give our learners to do. And that is important, right? Because again, it helps to build on what the child knows, or yes, it builds on what the child knows, and it gives them the opportunity to grow and mature. Of course, the assessment strategies that we use as well will be differentiated. So when we speak of differentiation, we're talking about differentiation in terms of instruction as well as differentiation in terms of assessment. So the instructions that we give to our learners will vary based on where they're at. If they're at got it, approaching, or not yet. And when we speak to that, we understand what got it, not yet, and approaching simply means. And it's just that they're given that opportunity to work at their level. And then as they work at their level, we build and we bring them up to where they ought to be, or where they're required to be. And so differentiation is important as teaching and learning occurs in the Guyanese classroom. As teaching and learning occurs in the classroom, we need to emphasize context. The context in which we teach, or the context relevant to children's experiences. For example, if I'm teaching skip counting by 2, 2, 4, 6, 8. Yes, but that can be applied to children going to the shop to buy things. So you go with $5 and you can say, okay, the item costs $20. So I have 5, 10, 15, 20. So I can use that money. And so what I'm doing there is relating this whole aspect of skip counting by 5, in this case, to money. And that money is what they're using every day. So they see the relevance of what they're doing. They see that this can be applied to my everyday life. And so as we teach and as we teach, we need to take these things into consideration. We really need to think about our learners, get to know our children. And once we know our children, we are then able to determine what their interests and their needs are. We're able to apply the universal design of learning. We're able to differentiate, and we should ensure at all times whatever we're doing is contextualized.